Hi everyone, Frank Sonzala here. I've got a little spoiler alert for you here. The third podcast is very, very special, and it has run an hour and 15 minutes. So get yourself comfortable, get yourself a nice beverage, a little snack, turn the cell phone off so you don't get distracted, and listen to the podcast that we think is the best one of this year and the last one of this decade. I don't know if I should have it button open or closed.
I think that looks fine.
I don't like that.
And as you go, it might become unbuttoned. You start getting hot.
Gonna start doing your Sinatra impression?
No, I just like the part about it might get unbuttoned because I'm getting hot.
All right, we're ready?
I've never been called hot before,
All right.
except in the summer.
2, 1, action.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our third episode of The Future of Intermodal. Please welcome our host, Mr. Frank Sonzala.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here today. This is the end of a decade. Very few days to go before the end of the decade, and a new decade is upon us. 10 years ago, what were you doing? What were you thinking about? Is it the same thing you're thinking about and doing today? I don't think so. The 10 years ahead of us, what are we going to be thinking about? I can't tell you. If I had told you in 1985 that every man, woman, and child in the world would have a cell phone, that would be not only a cell phone, but it would be their entertainment, it would be their dating machine, they order things online and it gets delivered to your door, you would all call me crazy, lock me up, and said this guy's out of his mind. Well, this is what technology has done. With this podcast and the podcast that we began here at CIMC Intermodal Equipment, soon to be CIE Manufacturing Incorporated, keep that in your mind, that we will bring technology, we will bring things about the industry that we're in, which is the trucking industry, the intermodal industry, and we're going to help you get into the next decade and go forward and learn things like we do day in and day out. So today's podcast is very important to me, and of course, because it is the Christmas season. What we're trying to do here is go ahead in time, but stay in the present. And today we have two very, very special guests. As you can see, I dressed up for it. I don't have my regular tie on, but I do have my bow tie on and my penguin outfit. So I am very, very happy to have my first guest, and I'm very happy to have my second guest. And I think you're going to be happy too. So Natalia, who is our first guest today?
You're right, Frank. We do have two very special guests indeed today. Our first guest is the 2020 chairman of the American Trucking Associations, as well as the CEO of Triple G Express. From New Orleans, Louisiana, let's welcome Mr. Randy Guillot.
Andy.
Hey Frank, how are you?
How are you? Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
I see we both got the same dress code. We got the memo, right? We got the memo.
I might be out there a little bit further than you are, but yeah,
Well,
I appreciate that.
but I know
it's the holiday season, right?
It is the holiday season,
Merry
and we
Christmas
are
to
going.
you.
Merry Christmas to you, and we are going to have a holiday show. Have a seat, and we'll sit
Right.
down and talk about a few things.
Right.
So, first off, I know everybody wants to know a lot about what's going on in the trucking industry, and you being the chairman of the ATA, one of the best organizations in North America for the trucking industry, the advocate
Thank you.
the trucking industry.
Absolutely.
And someone, an association I've been associated with, I think since 1983, so it's been a long
Okay.
time. However, I do want to know where you got that jacket.
Yeah. So we'll start off with the jacket.
Yeah, with the jacket.
This is my father's jacket. We tried tracing it back how many years old it is. It's got to be at least 50 years old. He bought it and wore it at the Louisiana Motor Transport Association gala events. So it dated back then, sitting in his closet for many a years. My youngest son kind of confiscated it for a little bit, and then I got it and kind of carrying it through the torch now and been wearing it. As you know, I wore it at the MC&E for ATA.
Yes, you
And
did.
it was kind of a fun tie-in,
Yes, it was.
family and trucking. That was kind of the symbol, and I appreciate you letting me wear it here today and kind of represent the same thing.
Well, faith and family are our two biggest goals at CIE, and we've had this discussion before, and then we don't have to worry about the business if we get the first two right. And that's why I wanted to have you wear that jacket, because the story you told at the MC&E was very heart-touching, and it made
Thank
me
you.
feel
Thank you.
like, something that goes in a family or anything for 50 years now is an amazing accomplishment. So I'm really
Yeah.
happy that you're here today, and I'm happy that you brought your lovely wife with you to
Yes.
the West Coast here, and you were able to have East Coast weather and then Denver weather, and now
It's been a fun week.
the weather here in sunny California, which has been very nice. So tell me a little bit about the fact now that you're chairman and this travel and everything else that is coming along with the job. Give me a little bit of synopsis of where, what you think about all this.
Well, number one, it's a phenomenal experience. To be able to sit here and represent the American Trucking Associations, which is the voice of the trucking industry. I'm a third-generation trucker. My grandfather on my mother's side started our first business, Southeastern Motor Freight, 1945. So to be able to come up through the business, I've got my children in the business with us now, so we've got fourth generation in the companies. We've got Triple G Express as well as Southeastern Motor Freight. It's just, it feels very rewarding to be where we're at in the position in the market that we're in, and then to be able to afford the privilege of going around talking trucking across the country on behalf of the American Trucking Associations. It really is a very heartwarming and just tremendous experience. We get a chance right now, and I've been chairman now for the last, I guess, about 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be chairman all the way through the end of October in 2020. Meeting the people that we meet. There's just good people in transportation.
Absolutely.
That so far is the highlight. Not one particular meeting or one particular speech. It's the experience of meeting everyone that we do in the business that we're in. Very gratifying.
With that being said, what's it like working with Chris Spears as the president?
Let me tell you what, we got a good one there.
Yes.
Yeah.
American Trucking Associations, I by the way, I'm the 75th chairman.
Wow.
75th chairman, so that's another privilege there. Chris Spears doing us a phenomenal job. The team that he has assembled at American Trucking Associations is tremendous. The effort that we do in Washington, and we all know that to get anything moved in Washington is a very slow process. Our businesses in trucking and equipment supply, we have to be nimble. We have to move very quickly to adapt to whatever market conditions we're in. Government in Washington, D.C. is totally different.
Chaos.
Totally different. Oh, jeez.
Chaos.
So to have someone like a Chris Spears leading the team, understands how to move things in D.C., understands the process of, hey, we're not satisfied with living in D.C. and just being content with nothing happening. We finding ways, Chris and his team find ways to move our agenda forward.
Mm-hmm.
And he is doing a phenomenal job for us, and we are so fortunate to have him representing our industry.
Well, I want to say congratulations to ATA about getting the USMCA put through. You very
Just
much
happened.
just
Very
happened,
instrumental, yes.
and you were very instrumental in doing it, and you did it in the right way. You made everybody aware of just what it does to trucking to be able to go across those borders and to get the goods and services back and forth between Canada and Mexico.
Yeah.
And these are our closest trading partners. and hopefully we'll get some good trade deals with the overseas, because part of your business can be intermodal too, because
Absolutely.
of all the container boxes and things coming in. So it's a very, very good that we got that one behind us. Let's get some more legislations passed to cover some of the other things, especially like infrastructure. Infrastructure in the United States has been talked about, and nothing is being done.
Yeah.
And we are behind some of what we would have called third world countries in infrastructure now. And I'm upset about that, because
Yeah.
I got to drive on those roads, you got to drive on the roads, and your trucks have to go down those roads, and the life of them is being diminished because of the what's going on. So your point on that.
Absolutely. The folks in Washington, maybe, and Frank, I'll just take a very slight twist on what you just said there. It's not that they don't move legislation for infrastructure. The issue is they'll move legislation for infrastructure, but they don't fund it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's the result. The result is we're deficient in funding our infrastructure in a meaningful way. And us in the transportation and trucking business, that's how we make our living. That's our office every day. We're out there moving trucks. We're sitting in congestion. We're running over potholes. It makes us less safe. Some folks don't relate back to that issue there. Our roads and the condition of our roads makes us less safe, not only in the trucking business, but in the personal transportation business. So, there's other components to infrastructure, robust infrastructure. Our country was made great by the invention of this interstate system, right?
absolutely.
That's how we prospered.
1950s.
That's how we prospered. That's how we magnified our position in the world. But yet, we're the very same ones right now who's not funding the infrastructure that we need. So we've been working in Washington. We're putting the word out that we're willing to pay our fair share, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to fund all of this additional infrastructure on our own backs solely by us, but we are more than willing to pay our fair share. So we've communicated that in Washington. We're emphasizing it. Now that we got USMCA done, right? I think that's leading the path to potentially more fruitful talks
I
on
hope so.
infrastructure.
I hope so.
We've got headwinds in 2020 with an election year. Historically, very little happens in a meaningful way. So we got to be cautious about our expectations. But without doubt, we continue, American Trucking Associations, continue to push our agenda, and infrastructure is certainly at the top of that list.
Very, very good. Your company has been in the ATA for a long time.
Yes.
What makes the ATA so special that people should be joining it, and what do they really? I mean, there's so much that I know about, but I don't think all of our audience understands what the ATA actually can do for trucking and
Right.
intermodalism.
Right. So let's talk about 2 or 3 different topics with that. We'll start off number 1, which is what we are known for and we do for a living each and every day, and that's the advocacy efforts in Washington, D.C. If ATA wasn't there representing the trucking industry, who would be doing this work? No one.
Right.
Right? So we are the voice of the trucking industry. We're there in Washington, D.C. We're out as truckers, right? I'm a trucker. I work for a living every day. I go to my office every day, and I move freight. I move intermodal freight, by the way, Frank.
Yes.
So, absolutely. So, but for us to support an association like ATA, that's where our efforts to protect us, to help further our initiatives, such as infrastructure, such as USMCA, all of these topics here, they're working each and every day for us on our behalf. So that's number 1, right? Number 2, I'm a small trucker, right? Our
What's the
industry,
size of your fleet?
we run between Southeastern Motor Freight, our first company, and Triple G Express, our second company, which is my banner right now, Triple
Right.
G Express. We run about 115, 118 trucks right now. Okay? So, in my market, I think I'm a pretty good sized player in it, right? Through New Orleans, Louisiana. But overall, I'm small compared to a lot of other motor carriers. The collaboration, we're getting back to the question of what does it bring to members? Why belong to ATA? So the advocacy is there, and it will be there first and foremost. But our ability to sit down as an industry and learn from each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing in the industry that maybe I'm not doing? Well, maybe I can do the same thing and be more successful, or vice versa. And it doesn't matter whether you're coming into this association with 5 trucks,
Right.
or whether you're running 10,000 trucks.
Right.
Because everybody has a different perspective, and the ability to sit down, communicate, collaborate together makes us all stronger. So that value coming in with ATA, to me, is very important and very meaningful. It allows us also to meet folks like yourself, right? So now I can learn more about chassis with CIMC, right? I can learn more about the safety aspects on the equipment that you're selling within our space. So we're exposed not only to ourselves in learning from each other, we're exposed to state-of-the-art vendors coming into and allied folks helping us, again, make a better buck and be as safe as we possibly can. That's the number one goal. Let's be safe.
Absolutely.
So it's a good house to be in.
Well, thank you very much. I tell you, we pride ourselves in the safety part of it. We were the first to put LED lights in. We were the first to go with automatic slack adjusters before they were mandated. We were first to go to radial tires and get rid of the bias tires, which went down the highway at breakneck speeds and not overloaded, but overloaded for that type of tire. And even split rims, get them out of there. The safety in the industry, I do believe that we call ourselves the evolution of intermodal, but we also have changed intermodal to where it's not the worst piece of property trailing of a truck on the highway anymore.
Frank, I encourage you to continue your path, please. Living and working in the industry, knowing the condition of chassis throughout the country, knowing how far we need to go from where we're at today. We've made some progress, need a whole lot more progress. So please continue your path.
We're continuing it, and we're moving into manufacturing everything and all in our product using global products here in the United States. But we source out the best, and with that Revere chassis that we put out last year, with a 10-year warranty on a 20-year lifespan, and believe it or not, the average age in the intermodal chassis business is around 26 or 26 and a half years. And that's 6 years past what we consider being the lifespan. So if you're going to make a better product and then we can warrant it for half of that lifespan, I think we're going in the right direction. We're going to continue to do that because it's companies like yours that will say the cost of ownership goes way down when you have a better product that is made to
Absolutely.
The utmost recent technologies.
Absolutely. And it's so refreshing to have a conversation like this where we start off and we will continue speaking about safety, right? It's what you put into your chassis. It's what we want on our trucks, on the chassis that we haul. Safety number one. Those radial tires, those slack adjuster, automatic slack adjuster brakes, LED lights. It's there with all other equipment as far as other types of trucking, right? We see it in vans, we see it in reefers, we see it in flatbeds.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, intermodal and chassis are lagging behind.
Mm-hmm.
There should be no reason why we should have any equipment on the highways today without those specifications.
Well,
And we need to get there together. I appreciate what you're doing, and believe me, us as an industry, us as the American Trucking Associations, Intermodal Motor Carriers Conference, we are pushing for exactly the same thing that you're doing right now. You're building it, you put it out on the market, and I thank you for that.
well, thank you. I know you got a phone call today, and you had that look on your face.
I
I've
did.
seen that look on face because I've
I
had
did.
phone calls like this before. And without naming any names or anything else, I understand it was something maybe about an accident
Yep.
It was about an accident. And those are the worst things that you can hear.
Absolutely.
When that phone rings and you have to answer that, and it just knocks you out. Without, like I say, no names or anything else, your very first thought of what are you going to ask about, and this was a piece of intermodal equipment?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and so what was the first thing in your mind?
I'll just make it very brief. We did rear end another vehicle, right? I actually have an accident reconstructionist, an expert, already at my facility to see whether the intermodal piece of equipment met specifications, in particular the brakes. Okay?
Yes.
I don't know the answers as we speak now.
Right.
But based on our interview with our driver, based on the circumstances involved, it warrants us spending time and effort immediately to reconstruct that accident to see if in fact there was a deficient piece of intermodal equipment behind us.
Well, you know, with ABS brakes, and some of this equipment has been refurbished without putting the ABS brakes on.
Why? Why, Frank? Why would you do that?
Because it was always considered the cheapest part of the industry, the cheapest product to be put out there, because it only went 9 miles between terminals or from the dock to the railroad, and that's not the way it is anymore. These
It's not the right mindset either, Frank.
no. But the thing is, they're going 500 miles, 250 miles to a distribution center all the way from the port or from the rail line, and basically they're not supposed to be on the road in the first place. We changed the ABS laws in the early 80s. Early 80s. We're now in the next
Going in 2020.
Yeah, we're going into 2020. So maybe our vision should be 2020 going forward, and not put anything on the road that doesn't meet today's technology specifications, whether you refurbish it, rehab it, or fix it. You put it out the way it should be done today, and I'm hoping that we can get that done.
I hope the industry goes exactly towards the goals you were
Well,
stating.
we're working on it, and
Thank you.
and we're the largest manufacturer there is, so I hope everybody follows us, because we're leading it. We're going to lead it. Thank you very much. I think it's Natalia, are we getting close to commercial time?
Yes, we are. It is about that time. So let's take a few moments right here and pay some bills. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Randy, well, it's been a pleasure sitting down and talking with you. I've learned even more about the AT, and I thought I knew everything about it. And I got to learn a little bit more about you and how you're going to handle your next few months, the rest of the year, and then into 2020. So thank you for this. I really appreciate it. I want you to stay with us.
Okay.
We have our next guest coming up, and let's see. Natalia, who's the next guest?
Oh, I am so excited about our next guest. Is a multi-award winning country music singer songwriter who I had the pleasure of hearing, and she has the voice of an angel, let me tell you. Let's give it up for the lovely and talented Karen Waldrup.
Hi, great to see you guys. Hi, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, friend.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, you know,
So glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Yes.
We do Instagram and everything else, but there's so much going on in your life. And thank you today for coming in and singing for our workers here and our office workers and our employees.
That was really awesome.
Oh, I think that
Had
was
a
a really
great
good
time.
treat. Anytime they can sit down in their nice new lunchroom and get a concert by Karen Waldrup, yeah,
That's a good day.
they're all for it. It's a good day. It's a real good day.
And we did some Christmas songs, so I thought that was nice.
Yes, yes, your new Christmas song. I think we're going to be featuring it here a little bit later in the show.
Great, yes.
Is, to me, it reminds me of the big production numbers of the 70s and 80s with Bing Crosby's Christmas and everybody else's Christmas that was going on. And all the time, the best music was going out. And I think you did it. You hit it out of the park with the best music for this song. And what is the title
Thank
of it?
you. It's Everything We Need for Christmas, and the reason why I wrote the song, I was sitting around the Christmas tree last Christmas with my nieces and nephews, and they were all running around, and I was drinking wine with my sister, and I was playing my guitar, having a good time, and I came up with this little idea. Everything we need for Christmas is right here. This is all we need, just all of us. That's it. That's all we need. And so we came up with that, and my little niece was running around singing it, and I was singing some dorky lyrics about, you know, the kids being in onesies and silly things. But flash forward, I thought, well, I really do want to release a Christmas song. I feel like my career has been such a blessing, and I've been so abundantly blessed by God that I was like, I think this is the year, you know, I'm going to do a Christmas song. And so when I went to sit down to write it, I had that little idea from last year, and it was so authentic because it was real. It was a real moment that
Absolutely,
happened.
yes. Yeah.
So I think that's the most important thing about music is being authentic.
Well, your music is actually authentic, and you are a great singer-songwriter.
Thank you.
You've won many awards. I know that you got a big award for your last album.
Oh yes, the album of the year from the Nashville Industry Music Awards, which was really great. I think that was probably my favorite award so
And of
far.
course, the name of that album is Justified.
Justified, yes.
And that song is from your life story.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yes. Well, I mean, music in general is our life story.
Yes.
You know, it truly is. Music is your life story.
Yeah. Well, you absolutely put it down and put it down perfectly. Give us a little insight to life on the road.
Life on the road has a lot of challenges. It has a lot of thrills. The best way I can put it is a thrill. It's such a thrill. It's a thrill to roll into a town that you've never been to and see the town for the first time and know that when you leave that town, you're going to have hundreds of friends, thousands of friends. It's just, it's definitely an addiction when you roll into a town and you know that you can, you know, affect people's hearts there. You can make them smile. You can make them dance. I always carry a saxophone player, my friend Chris Schaffner. We have a 5-piece band, so we always have a saxophone. So people are always dancing at my shows. So when you can know that you roll into a town and you can make people laugh, dance, cry, have any emotion, there is such a thrill to that. On the flip side, the transportation side, can be very challenging. And I'll say the challenges that come along with just, you know, I was in the gym the other day and this girl, she said, well, you know, I see you, you're just so random. You know, I see you 5 times a week, then I don't see you at all. And it's true. I told her, I said, you know, I don't have a schedule. I just don't have a schedule. Like, I'll have a week where I work out every single day, and then I'll have a week where I'm on the road every single day and I don't work out at all because we're on the flight every, you know.
Of course.
So you really have to figure out how to balance that so that you can have a healthy lifestyle. And I think the biggest challenge of touring is the lack of schedule. That's probably the hardest part. But other than that, it's really fun.
Well, I don't know how to estimate how many days on the road you were this year, but do you have any idea that you could throw out there?
I'm not 100% sure either. I would say at least 150 probably.
150
of the year.
days?
Yeah, so maybe half, because a lot of times for me, I'll play like Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And then I'll be
Yes.
back Sunday night, and then I'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to be like, go to the grocery and do a normal life. And then we'll pretty much hit the road again. In my life and in my touring schedule, I have a very rigorous schedule during the summer, but during December and January, it's very calm. And that's a nice time for us as artists to relax and spend time with family and cook and just really try to ground it before it hits again.
Right.
Because once it hits, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Right.
But also a huge blessing. So, I don't complain about it because I really love it and I love the travel. And another thing I was actually telling Steve, the driver who drove me here, I was telling him about this on the way here. I said, I still have this excitement to see the world. I really love to see the world. So to know that I can go play a show in Europe and make enough money to pay all the travel, make money at the end of the day, and still see the world is a pretty good deal.
No, it's a great deal. It's a great deal.
It's a good deal. So I really enjoy. I don't get to go and see cities as much as I would like to. I think all artists feel like they kind of pass through and they don't get to, do as much. But
Well, I don't know. I see your pictures on Instagram, and you just came out here, and you already had all of Long Beach exploded over everything.
Yeah, there we were. Selfies in the hot tub. Just kidding. That's true.
Yeah.
Instagram, their stories, you get to share that with the fans, and people get to live through that. And so for the people who did choose, to work at a bank or to, work in whatever normal life that they have, they do. I do think they enjoy being a part of the process of what we do.
Yeah. Well, you had met Randy earlier, last night and everything else, and we all.
Who Dat Nation.
Who Dat, there we are.
Right. And ironically, he and I actually went to the same church, so we were
Right.
Grounded and for
That's
real.
it.
We are from
And by
the same
coincidence,
town.
right? We didn't even
Yep.
know this until we met last night.
Yep. So the same town. I'm from Mandeville, Louisiana, and he lives currently in Covington, which
Yes.
is just neighbor towns. So.
Absolutely. Well, you remember your first experience with the ATA was through the TMC meeting
Yes.
being held in Nashville for 5 years
Yes.
in a row.
Oh yes.
And then my previous company, we found the closest bar to the convention center.
Yes.
And
the
we-
Swinging Door Saloon.
Swinging Door Saloon.
They were swinging.
Yeah, it was swinging.
Nice.
And we absolutely booked you in to play. And I think it was 4 years straight.
Yep.
You did that because there was a 5-year contract they had. And we didn't know about you the first year, so we had some other singer-songwriters that were very, very good. But you rocked that place. Can you talk a little bit about that experience? Because that's an experience with the ATA through the TMC, even though the TMC didn't sponsor it. The PSI company, and then later on CMC has been sponsoring you all the way. Take a look at those few years and that maybe what was the first one like and then the fourth one like?
Sure. I like that question. The first time I ever played that event, I think it was cool because I got to meet all of these people. And so every single year I'm running into some of these same people. And so
Right.
I've been able to build a relationship not only with them, but their wives and their families. And then they come to shows all over. People from PSI and TMC and all from just everywhere. They just show up at shows and there they are. And they're like, hey, we met you at, Swinging Doors in Nashville in whatever year it was. But I remember the first year, the band that I had was a little bit more honky tonk than it is now.
Yeah.
I remember we did a lot more cover songs. I was definitely still
Writing,
growing
though.
growing my catalog, and then to look back at the last year, we got to roll up in my bus and
Right.
we got to, connect with some of the same people, but in such a different way. And it was all original music. And it was a really, fun Atlanta night downtown. And so it's cool how you grow your career, everybody else grows their career, and we can all grow together. And
Well,
that's
I'll tell you
a
what.
blessing.
You had your bus outside the bar in Atlanta
Yes.
this last
Which
year.
was, questionable.
But you did, and there must have been 75 to 100 people in the picture outside the bus
Yes,
when you
we had
came
a
out
great
of that
time.
bus finally, and everyone was waiting for you. And I was just standing back and looking and going, you know what? This girl has arrived. She's not only arrived in a beautiful bus. I mean, bus is like the most expensive thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, me
And
too.
who provided that?
So I actually have a partnership with Star Master Coaches,
Yes.
which is another transportation
Okay.
company, and they own. I think they have 16 buses like that. And the thing I love about Star Master Coaches is that their buses are very elite. So they're doing business with like ZZ Top and Cardi B and like huge artists that are touring in it. So it's an honor to sleep in that bus every night when I get to sleep in it. And it's also an honor to be a friend of Star Master Coaches and also an advocate for their brand. And I think as long as I, go out and represent their brand and talk about it and share the word with people, I feel like it's such an honor to get to ride in it that I just really want to respect that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's definitely a blessing.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way because it's, everybody thinks that life on the road is like such a glamorous thing to do, and it has its downturns, it has its tough times, it has the planes that don't fly on time, and you got to
Right.
schedule to meet, and
Oh, yes.
and of course the equipment has to come with it.
Yes.
So having that motor coach is a very important part because it takes that worry out.
Oh, it is definitely a treat. Music is not about glam. It really isn't.
No.
It's so stripped down and it's so tender. It really is. It's so special. So
Well,
I
your
just feel that way.
album Justified and the song Justified explains it very well.
Thanks.
That you walking on stage after all the tough things that go by makes it all justified
Yep.
because that rush you get from entertaining people, and you are an entertainer. You work the crowd wonderfully. In the early days, I remember you didn't know anything about the trucking industry. You didn't even know what automatic tire inflation was
Right.
or anything
I
else.
learned a lot.
You learned a lot, but once the people start coming up and you start remembering who their names were, and that's Mike from Maverick Trucking. This is so and so and so, and you're waving to them all. They all feel that they're your personal friend at a concert that you're only doing for them.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I really, really love about you is that you engage the audience much better than most artists do. And you do it in a genuine way. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And and I know you're going to keep it up because that's your spirit. Your spirit is like that. You wrote a song just recently that you played today, earlier on, and it's the first time I ever heard it. And I had to admit that I teared up.
She said,
I tried not to tear up, but I think something got in my eye.
something. It must have been done.
But the thing is, if the first time you hear a song and that happens to you, that's a hit.
That's right.
That's a hit.
So the thing is about Kendall County Road is I don't think I'm the only person. I know I'm not the only person who had to move far away from their family. People these days, they have to go to Asia to work, or they have to go to Europe, or they have to go where the technology has taken them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we have a lot of more than ever in history. We have more people now than ever before in history that are living 1,000 miles away from their family. They're living in California and their family lives in Florida. They're living in New York and their family lives in Arizona. I mean, we're living so far away from our families, which is so wrong, I think, in a lot of ways. But in a lot of ways, it's right, because for me, I'm able to travel and play music. So I actually got the song concept when we were at the pool that day. I heard this song, "It's Sundays Like Today That Make Me Wish We All Lived in the Same Town." But then when I got together with my Uncle Louie, my mom is one of 18 children.
Wow.
A massive New Orleans family.
18 children.
Yes, there was 18 of them. Harahan.
Yes.
They were, St. Rita, that's where they went. And anyway, so huge family. And my Uncle Louis, he said, I really feel like if you wrote a song about distance within family, that would resonate with a lot of people. So the idea kind of rooted in a day at the pool mixed with my uncle's idea. And I kind of was able to make those somehow work together. But I remember about 5 years ago being at a party, and I'd probably had too much wine, and I remember
Not
telling-
you. No, not you. I can't. I find that far-fetched to have you ever having too much wine.
So I'm at this party, and I remember telling this songwriter, he was such a hit writer, and I told him, I said, I was crying to him, and I said, I want to write a song that will make people cry. I want a song that will make people cry. And I'll never forget what he said, and it mattered so much to me that I remember it, and I've told the story many times. But he said, Karen, you don't write a song to make people cry. You write a song, and then that song makes someone cry. And I thought that was such, it's just like trying to make a video viral online. Like, you can't, make a video viral. You have to make a video, and then that video has to go viral.
Right.
It's the same with writing a song. So I stopped trying to write a song that made people cry, and now I have 3. I have Sometimes He Does, Me Again, and Kendall County Road. These 3 songs that somehow sink into people's hearts to the point where they can escape so much from what bills they have to pay or what texts they have to answer or emails. And they really can. They can escape into this moment with me. And it is such a gift to have those songs, especially when they're songs that you wrote and that you created and that you can't make that up. You can't create it. I tried.
Yeah.
And you can't. You have to just wait until God sends it. That's when it comes.
Well, I noticed when in Atlanta last year when you debuted Me Again,
Yes.
people.
That's right, it had just come out.
It just came out.
I remember please listen to this, Frank, please. I want you to hear it. I remember that.
And the people in the crowd actually linked arms. Strangers. I mean, some were strangers to each other. They linked arms and they were kumbaya, going back and forth to this song. And we're like, "Are you kidding me? This is a miracle. A great song, by the way.
Beautiful song.
One of my favorites. Beautiful. And Natalia is also she is a writer and everything in another genre, for movies and plays and screenplays. But she always is also a singer.
Very
Okay.
nice.
And she will sing everywhere in the office and everything else. She's got a great voice. So at one point in time, the two of you will have to do a duet
That's right.
on
Absolutely.
Figure on
Yes,
Something.
we
you
do.
know.
I saw
that means
you,
we'll have
by
to
the
have
way,
you back
on
on
your,
the show again,
That's right.
right?
on your
For
channel,
that.
Karen. I saw you did
Absolutely.
this wonderful duet with Dixie Jade.
Yes.
Yep. It was
Yes,
Drift
Dixie
Away
Jade.
by Dobie Gray.
Good.
You guys did a
Yes,
cover.
yes,
I've been
absolutely.
watching you. Phenomenal.
I love those girls.
Yeah.
When you have, here's the thing. When you're in the music business
Mm-hmm.
and you meet people and you have that special connection, that authentic, real connection, that you just immediately, you're just like, BFF.
Absolutely. I
Because-
loved it. 3
Yeah.
girls sitting on the front porch playing their guitars.
Yeah.
Can't get any better than that. You have to see this video, Randy, of them doing a cover of Dobie
I'll
Gray's
look it up this
Drift
afternoon.
Away. Beautiful.
Yes. We had a
Beautiful.
great
They-
time
the
that day.
harmonies,
And those girls are really, I love them. very
Super
much.
talented.
I know I probably shouldn't ask you to do this, but one of my favorites of yours, and I don't want you to sing the whole song right now, but can you just give the first couple of bars of Amazing Grace, a cappella?
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah, I remember the night that you surprised me. I was in the middle of eating and we were at a dinner, and all of a sudden Frank says, "Well, next up is Karen Waldrup to sing Amazing Grace." And I'm like finishing my I walk up on stage and it's like David Lee,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
head of CIMC,
Our
the
chairman,
new
yes.
Yeah, our chairman.
And I'm like, okay, well, hope my voice is warm.
Showtime.
This is a moment. But
You were
that was a moment I'll
voluntold.
never forget.
Marcos,
You got to be prepared when you're refrain.
Marcos, I think we have a picture, and you can put up on the screen, of David Lee, myself, and Karen, and we were like the three amigos
Oh, yeah.
that night. That was a really, really great evening. That was
Yes.
a great
Really
evening.
great.
We have so many memories, and now that we're entering into 2020 and the new decade,
2020 vision.
2020 vision, and that vision's got to be perfect. So what is your vision of the perfect 2020
Year?
and the next 10 years?
Well, I don't know if I can say next 10 years. I think that's a lot of
That's a
pressure.
lot. Let's go far. I know. Just
But you
for
know, I do. I have the
2020.
same goal. I have the same goal, and I know it sounds silly to people, but I want to have 1 million fans. I have about 600,000 fans right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going for 1 million. And I know that seems like people are like, well, you should have bigger goals than that. Okay, but for me, the goal is to affect the people. So if I can build what I call Waldrop Worldwide, which is our
Right.
fan base, our family. We call it Waldrop Worldwide Family. If I can build that to 1 million, I feel like that's something that I can have forever. No one can ever take from me. So as long as I can continue to build that empire, if you will, of people who are a part of my music, then I can continue to grow my career and move forward and make more music. But there's just something about that. I'm like, I guess I hit 500,000, and then I'm like, I just want to get to 1 million. And so I'm not afraid to tell people that I do believe that I'm on kind of a forefront of technology and how music can turn in. I call it a musicpreneur. It's like an entrepreneur. but
Right.
it's
Well,
a
you are an
musicpreneur.
entrepreneur, and you are a merchandiser.
Well, thanks.
You're definitely a merchandiser. And I have a quick story from last night when you met Randy's wife, Renee,
Yes.
and it was at the hotel,
Yes.
and you both had on the same jewelry.
Same.
That's right. They
design.
bonded
Okay.
over jewelry. It
Now,
was
Isn't that
lovely.
What
See?
is the chance of that happening
That was
ever in the
great.
world?
And also, Frank, there's another twist. The jeweler is actually Randy's neighbor.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know. In California.
yeah. So
I know.
Yeah.
this is, like, okay, how does all this stuff happen? It happens for a reason.
Yep.
I don't know the reason, okay, but it does happen for a reason. The way that you two got to be on the same show, and you got to be on the same podcast, and you got
Right.
to be from New Orleans, and you're from Nashville, and all this other stuff, and being that far apart, there's still that synergy of Louisiana
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
pulls
By
everybody
coincidence.
together.
That's
Who
right.
Dat Nation.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, the Who Dat Nation.
Who Dat Nation, I'm telling you.
Who that?
And let's go to the video.
Yes, your new song.
Check it
Your
out.
Christmas song. Yes, check it out.
Everything we need for Christmas is right here, baby. Everything we need for Christmas is right here, baby. You're the best gift I could ever wish for. And I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait for Christmas Day. Cuddle up, warm me up by the fire. Snuggle up, with your hand in mine. Uh-oh, mistletoe got me wanting all your kisses. So let's get wrapped up underneath these Christmas lights. Yeah, 'cause everything we need for Christmas is right here, baby. Everything we need for Christmas is right here, baby. You're the best gift I could ever wish for. And I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait for Christmas Day. Weatherman says we better watch out for Frosty. 'Cause it's gonna get cold as ice outside. Well, that's great for making some snow angels. Are getting bundled up for a snowball fight. Yeah, 'cause You're the best gift. You're the best gift, baby. Everything we need for Christmas is right here, baby. Everything we need for Christmas is right here, baby. You're the best gift I could ever wish for. And I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait for Christmas Day. You know I can't wait, baby. You know I can't wait, baby. You know I can't wait, baby. I can't wait for Christmas Day.
All right. Thank you so much, Karen, for sharing your lovely new holiday song with us.
Thank you for
And
sharing it with everybody else.
Yes.
Thank you. It was lovely. And back to you, Frank.
Oh, thank you, Natalia. This is the next segment here, and Randy and Karen, you're both going to be participating in this together.
Yes.
Okay, sounds fun.
And the very first one is a segment that we named before the first show, and it's called Bottoms Up. And so these are personal questions now. We talked about business, we talked about careers, we talked about some other things in life, but now we're going to get a little bit personal. And basically, I'm going to ask you, and I'll go with you first, Karen. In your life, you've had high points, and of course you've had low points. What I'd like to ask you about is, bottoms up, is the lowest point that you think you've had, and how you handled it, or how it handled you, and then how you turned it around to being a positive in your life.
Right. What a great question, first of all. And for me specifically, it was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
It started on February. It started the beginning of February 2018, and it was a lot of things that happened. It started with the boyfriend I was dating was cheating on me and was a complete sociopath. And then
Complete sociopath.
That's how you really feel, Karen.
that's like
Don't
here
hold back.
on the level of how crazy this is about to get.
Okay.
And then I had massive online success with my music, and then I had a stalker.
Oh, God.
Stalker.
Yes, it was terrible. It was
Wow.
so terrible. The stalker shows up at my front door at my house. Thankfully, we had already warned the police department about him specifically because he had reached out on all these terrible things he had said. Long story short, I had to go through the process of getting an order of protection, getting a gun, moving 2 times. It was awful. It was awful. I moved into another place. I had to move out of that place into another place. Anyway,
Wow.
my point of telling this story is, first of all, what a testimony I have now to be an advocate to other people, specifically women, I think, about security and mindfulness when it comes to the internet. Making sure that your address is not on the internet. I live by an alias name now. I make sure that my pizza is not delivered to my name anymore because that is my stage name. Anyway, how did that low point come into a high point? It was a terrible year. I wrote a song called Me Again. This song has streamed more globally than any other song I've ever written or recorded.
I believe that.
It is such a powerful song, not only for like stats and streaming, but just for people to hear. It's like the people that are there and the people that were around me that got me through the crappy time.
Yeah.
And then I was writing a book during this year. So now I have a book that's about to come out called The Music and the Rest of It.
Oh, wow.
So how did,
That's another podcast.
yeah, The Music and the
That's
Rest
right.
of It. It's a whole book about it. But the funny thing is, it was the year Justified was coming out. So the book was supposed to be about releasing a record, and the book is now a very drama
Wow.
movie. It should be a movie. Anyway,
Well, maybe we can do something about that.
Yeah, we need to make a movie out of that. It was crazy. But anyway, I think what came out of it, I get to tell that story now, and I get to encourage other women to live by an alias name. I said it the other day on an iTunes podcast I did. I think everybody should live by an alias name. I know people think that's crazy, but if you're going to order a pizza, like why order it to your doctor name that your entire business is revolving around, Dr. George Smith? Like why? Like why not deliver that pizza to an alias name? So I believe in that. I believe that people should
It's interesting. That's very interesting.
You're going to go online and you're going to order, your new swimsuit to your name at your address. Is that smart? No, it is not smart, because your name and that address is about to be all over the internet.
Right.
So now I get to be an advocate of this new way of living and protecting yourself. And so that's quite a story. And then we ended up getting, People magazine wrote an article about it, about my story, and about how stalking online thing is even a problem for people. And so anyway, but your question is, how does that go from a really low place to a high place? I think it's because I can help others.
Absolutely.
And share that.
Oh, well, I thought I knew a lot about you, but I didn't know that's just really, really very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. And absolutely, that is a positive. You're now able to relate your experience and have other people at least get the caution that they should go by an alias so that they don't have
everybody
a
should.
stalker or anything else. Absolutely.
I don't think it was a problem 10 years ago. But now you can just Google anybody's name.
Right.
If you're a doctor and your name is Dr. George Smith, the name I just used, well, maybe you shouldn't get your pizza delivered to George Smith, because your address and your name is going to be all over the internet.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a smart move for especially people my age that are like coming into buying homes and buying. You need to buy a home under a trust. I'm sorry. I'm very advocate about this. Like, you can't, your name and your address cannot be on the internet. It's just not safe.
I think you're right, because when we first started the company, or not started the company, started the website, and we had email addresses and phone numbers and stuff, because we thought, well, this is great. Anybody can call in and see a face and know who they're talking to. Took that off right away, because it was nothing but spam and all kinds of junk mail and so on and so forth. So you're exactly right. Thank you
for
for
somebody
sharing.
like an attorney.
Oh, yeah.
Or a judge, like, they do not need to be living under that name. But anyway, that's my opinion.
Very good. Well, thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Randy, you know the same question, something from the bottom and going to the up.
My experience is completely different. Sorry to hear you went through that, but glad to see you're back out of
That's
it
right.
and advocating for those safe ways to live your life and those around us. So mine was Hurricane Katrina.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, yes.
Lived through Hurricane Katrina back in '05. Both personally and professionally, some difficult times, right?
Wow.
Professionally, running a company, running two companies,
Wow.
supporting 150 families, and going through that and having to react off of an event that obviously didn't create, right? And you also having to react off of a recovery that you can't necessarily control, right?
Right.
So there was a lot of factors involved in that. So to be able to go from whatever level of business down to virtually zero, right? And then have to build it back up again was certainly a learning experience, certainly a difficult time to do. And so then you take that part of your life, and then you also bring in your personal part of your life. I was very fortunate in the fact of that my family, my wife and my children lived on the North Shore. So our home had minimal damage, did not have any flooding, right? But my mom and dad lived in Metairie, had foot of water in their home for about a day and a half. And then you take my grandmother, who was well into her 80s at the time, lived very close to the breach in the levee.
Oh, wow.
So she had 7 or 8 feet of water in her home for over 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
So, you take the professional side of your life, and then you take your personal side of your life, and a lot of it's not in your control at that particular time. You just have to react and do the best that you can. So you learn things along the way, but every natural disaster is different.
Sure.
You can't go back and plan for another hurricane Katrina,
No.
because the next hurricane could present you with a wholly different set of circumstances, both personally as well as professionally. So that's kind of my story.
Well, I'm very familiar with Hurricane Katrina, because we had 8 family members living with us that usually would come in for a hurricane, and 3 days later, they go back to Louisiana after we had a hurricane party, in San Antonio. And 8 months later, they go back to, and my nieces had to go to Texas State University instead of back to LSU because the campus was completely torn up.
Right.
And everything is, those kind of stories, both of your stories, are very, very important because the fact that you could live through them and not get really, you have a lot of memories that are hurtful, but the positive part came out that you survived them. Yeah. And when you survive them and you make the right decisions, and tough decisions, especially around family, it's really tough, especially around your own personal security is very tough. And it came out to be a positive in your life because you understand that the next, whatever the natural disaster is not going to be the same as the one behind you, but you have to be prepared for it.
Right.
And you have to be able to live with it. Well, when we finish this segment, it's a tradition on the podcast that we have a toast.
Oh,
Bottoms
great.
up.
That's bottoms up for
That's
sure.
right.
For real.
We are on the upside of down.
Yes. So did you notice that you have the official podcast
Oh my gosh.
glass here, and you get to keep this
That's
as your payment for being on the show.
Yes,
Isn't it a
another
wonderful thing right there?
takeaway.
Cheers,
Cheers.
to both of you.
Christmas.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas, and to
Many
to
more years of
bottoms
success.
up for the fact that you're both on top of the world right now.
Absolutely.
And so are you.
Yes, you are.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Yum.
Delicious.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best
Yeah.
tea I have ever had.
I know.
Gosh,
Doesn't
that's
get
good
any
sweet
better
tea.
than that.
You know, I have a drummer, and he plays with a big, huge country star. He plays with me sometimes. He said, every time we go on stage with, and I won't say their name, such and such, he has this huge, huge thing on the stage, and it looks like whiskey. And he says he tastes that thing, and it goes like this, and the whole arena just screamed. He never, ever told them that was whiskey. He never did. They assumed
Yeah.
it was whiskey. That is sweet tea, every time.
Yeah.
He said, do not underestimate the show. It is a show.
Yeah.
It's a show.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Of course, this is sweet tea. You got us out of that one right there.
Yes.
All right, now, we're into my favorite sections now because this first one is about sports. And we call it Sports in 60 Seconds. So each one of you are going to have 60 seconds.
Good, because there's about 60 seconds I know about sports.
Oh, no. I'm going to start with Randy then.
Yeah, I want to do that.
And then you can say ditto. There you go.
Hey, that works.
And it might just happen that way.
Being
Well,
that
you're
you
both
are-
from Louisiana,
That's
so I know where
right.
this is going. So we're going to get a countdown from Marcos and Sports in 60 Seconds. Randy.
I don't think it's going to take me 60 seconds. It is a phenomenal time to be a football fan in Louisiana.
Woo,
The
yeah.
Saints, LSU Tigers.
What's that?
Can't get any better than that right now.
Right.
So we both riding high. Fun time. Being born and raised in New Orleans, so I've always been an LSU fan. I've always been a Saints fan, and that's where we're at. Can't get any better than 2019-2020 season right now.
Who dat?
All right.
right.
Well, it's very, very good. I appreciate that because it's nice to have winning teams. And, and I still
We have it
remember.
going on now.
I still remember when Hulk Hogan drop kicked the pass receiver in the game to ruin the championship for New Orleans. Yeah, never got the penalty called.
Yes.
So
That's still embedded in my memory too, Frank. Thanks for bringing that up.
I seem to have I seem to have a habit of doing stuff like that. But on the other side, you've got, in respect for that, you've now got the Saints going very, very well.
Yes.
And
right.
LSU
LSU.
Tigers.
Oh,
So
on
it's
fire.
It's just
Hey.
growing and
Hey.
growing.
It's a
Bad
good year to
things
be football fan in
usually
Louisiana.
cause
That's right.
good things to happen.
There you go.
It's 50-50, but it's
it.
not always the same.
You
Karen,
about there 40 seconds.
what
there,
are
Randy.
you?
That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
I told you it wasn't going to take long.
He did say that.
For Karen, Sports in 60 seconds.
Well, lucky for me, I'm sitting by someone I completely agree with all of their thoughts. I love the New Orleans Saints. I have such a passion for the Saints. Like, I love the Saints. I love the culture. I love the history and the heritage and everything that comes along with the Who Dat Nation. Everything. The music, the food, the horn section, all of it. For me, sports is leisure. You know, I don't feel the stress that a lot of people feel when they're watching a game. I feel like I'm off for the day. You know, like when I'm on stage and I have a show, like there's certain stressors. But when I'm at a football game or I'm watching it at a bar with my boyfriend with a beer, like that is leisure. That is fun. I do not feel stressed about that at all. I feel very excited to watch the game, enjoy the game. I think there's some people who carry a burden when it comes to sports, and then there's people like me who just really
it's stressful.
It's stressing out. I'm over here
A little less stressful when we win, but it's stressful.
People can get very
for me,
emotional
football
about
is,
sports.
you know, it's kind of like one of the things that goes along with like mental health. Like it's a day off. It's fun.
Yeah, nice.
It's fun. It's pastime. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Okay. Now, my next favorite one, and we're going to start with you, Karen, is music. So it could be who's your favorite band or artist, what's your favorite song, do you have a concert that you went to, and do you like to dance? And I know you like to dance, but I'll let you answer that question first.
Well, I love to dance because I think dancing is like a fun, free thing. But for me, honestly, and I'm not just saying this because I hung out and had dinner with you the night before, but the Grammys in February.
Yeah?
It was right here in LA. It was the most musically inspiring moment for me to be on stage and hear the ultimate musical moment from all of these different acts. It was such a life-changing thing because it was right there in front of me. And it was almost like a thrill to know that, like, all I have to do is keep practicing and get better, and the music can be that great, you know? So I think the Grammys 2019 was my best musical moment.
Great. And for those of you that don't know, you were in the nomination
That's
part
right.
for the Grammys, and the only way you can go to the Grammys is by being nominated and being part of the music industry.
Well, and being a member of the
Yes.
Grammys.
Yeah,
And so that's how we were able to go in general. But unfortunately, I did not get a Grammy, but I was in the crowd. And
That's
that
right.
was- yeah.
You were nominated.
well, but you should have been.
There you go. Dang it. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, but you got to be in the crowd, and next
to
time you'll be on
yes,
stage.
very moving.
Next time you'll be on
There you go.
stage.
There you go.
Next time you'll be on stage. I've said that 3 times, and that's a charm.
That's it.
Especially with that new single. You will be on
Oh,
that stage.
yes.
Cheers.
Bottoms up to that, that's
yes,
for sure.
absolutely.
Randy.
Well, I grew up with the 70s and 80s rock and roll. So, you know, my history's Boston, Journey, 38 Special, Toto.
Yes.
That's all.
Wow.
That's where I'm from. But most recently, I'm a Karen Waldrup fan.
That's
Come on. It's new to me here. I'm a big fan now. So
Yeah?
we got it going on now.
Doesn't she have a beautiful voice?
Well, I figured you guys were going to
Yeah.
hit it off.
Oh,
Got
yeah.
a new fan here. I tell you what.
Absolutely.
And Renee too. I mean, Renee's all into this now. So
Yes.
we might see you. I'm gonna be in Nashville in a couple of weeks.
come on.
Are you performing
Look at this.
the night Saturday night before the Saints Titans game?
I don't know what the Saints Titan game is.
That's not this weekend, but next.
Oh, that'd be
Oh, but
21st.
But I'll come hang
21st. 21st is a Saturday. 22nd's the game.
But you're going to still be in San Antonio.
You're right.
Oh,
Actually, I
yeah.
am performing, but in San Antonio that night.
Oh.
Yeah. Nice.
But
So
anyway,
next
we'll
time.
get
Next
together.
time.
Well,
Together, yes. That'd be
I think
great.
it's an open invitation, right?
That's
you go.
right.
And I need to go and
Absolutely.
play in New Orleans.
Well, she
Got to do
always
that.
could go and play an ATA event.
Hey, maybe we can work
See?
that out.
Yeah.
now
See if we can make that
Could
happen.
possibly do that. I don't know. It's
Well,
it could be
rock the whole
kismet
amount.
here. I mean,
All right.
you know, the contract is.
And Frank,
He's like, he happened to bring the
Frank,
contract.
I think you can even sponsor the
Absolutely.
entertainment. How's that?
I think so.
We got a
Whatever.
win-win-win. It's all going on.
I know.
All off of a podcast.
That's what they call a trifecta.
You know what? That's
Is that
what.
2020 vision?
The Woodford.
That is 2020
Is that
vision.
2020 vision?
The sweet
It's
tea,
perfect.
honey.
It's perfect. It's perfect
The
vision.
best sweet
I'm
tea that
100%
Kentucky
behind
has
that.
to offer.
I've helped sponsored a few shows in my life, going back through the years, and just recently too. So that'd be we'll sit down and discuss this. I think it's a great idea because you know what? The American Trucking Association knows Karen Waldrup. She knows the Trucking Association.
Yes, she
She's
does.
got the greatest stage presence of any modern day performer that I know.
Absolutely.
And and I know a lot of them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I honestly really love being on stage. I love it. It's so much fun.
It shows.
I
And
can't-
honestly,
yeah,
when
I
you
can-
are on stage, everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. And then you have to walk off stage, and it's like, damn, I gotta pay bills, I gotta deal with, life. But when you're on stage, it's like this beautiful, perfect moment. It's so fun.
I don't really want to wrap this up. I want to
I
go
don't
on.
either.
I know everybody says 40 minutes is as much as you can do on a podcast, but I think we should do this for another 3 hours.
I agree. I
But
agree.
obviously, now we're going to wrap this up.
There's no more
Sweet tea. Sweet tea's all out.
Sweet tea's gone. We got to wrap
Kentucky
this up.
sweet tea.
So I just have for both of you to answer this individually, and you can choose between the two of you who wants to go first.
I'll defer to Karen.
what-
already.
I'm sorry, but I think I'm about to write a song called Kentucky Sweet Tea.
There you go.
There you
That's
go.
a great
Kentucky sweet. Oh wow.
idea.
It's
I'm liking
actually
this.
whiskey.
I like
That
that.
is a great song idea. Like, I'm about to leave right now and go write that. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. Look at this.
Okay. I just want to ask you both. What did you think of this podcast and being on it? And what do you think we can improve or change or do better than we did today? Or just let us know. And he deferred to you, so it's first
You want me to
one
go first?
for you.
Okay, well, this could be a real fire.
It wouldn't be up to code, though.
For anyone who can't see this, this is a very nice television fire, which I think is nice. It's a nice touch. It
Well-
makes it feel very warm in here without actually having to deal with wood and stuff. It's nice.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and Marcos is the master of illusion. So
Marcos is,
he is.
He's
He
great.
makes sure
Oh,
that
yeah.
everything comes out just perfect.
yes.
No, it was great.
Actually, and the Christmas tree here was in a charitable event that CIE had sponsored last week in our city of Southgate here, and all the money went to scholarship
Wow.
funds for needy children, and we bought that tree, and we bought another tree that was put up there in the room that you were performing on
Yes.
earlier, and it was a great evening, and the Southgate
And for
people
good cause.
really did well. So.
Very great.
So that's one thing, but what else can we do?
I was obviously joking. I felt like it was great. I had a great time. I appreciate you so much. What could you guys do? I don't know, more sweet tea.
More sweet tea. Well, I think this evening we'll probably order some sweet tea, vintage sweet tea. Maybe
That was great.
2014, 2016,
Sounds
something like
good,
that.
Frank.
Yes. Right. Randy.
I thought it was a great event. I really appreciate the invitation. Our co-guest here was
Our
phenomenal. Get a
friendship.
chance to know you, Karen, even though you grew up in my back
I think
door,
we
basically.
literally went to church together.
But yeah, as far as improvements, hopefully we're getting across our message, and I think we have. By the way, y'all kind of guided us along the way, so we want to make sure that CIE gets its due recognition, clear vision for 2020, right?
Well,
We want that message out there. You're leading the industry as far as I'm concerned in what we do, right? Our intermodal chassis, we want first in safety. We're getting that message across, hopefully here on this podcast. You've made it extremely comfortable for us
Oh, it's great.
in here. I don't do this for a living. Karen may do a little bit of this for a living here.
Although
but,
the jacket, you look like you do.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
my
That
rock star jacket
Your
here.
grandpa-
yeah, rock star.
That's
Rock star.
right.
Sorry, your dad.
We had a great time, and thank
Yeah.
you, and just keep on doing what you're doing, Frank. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You've both given me nothing to build on. Okay.
That's right.
No, actually. Yeah, the fire. Let's see what we can do about that.
And more sweet tea. We said that too.
More sweet tea. Now that we will build on that.
Kentucky sweet
To
tea.
tell you have all the notes on this for
Kentucky,
sure.
yes, absolutely.
I want to thank you both for being here.
Yes.
I mean, what a wonderful situation it is for me not to have to rack my brain out to drag something out of people, and you're just both so exuberant with your passion for your careers in your
Yes,
life.
they are.
This will bring our podcast to an end, which is always a sad occasion. But as I was telling Randy earlier, at the end of every podcast, I get rid of my tie because people say, Frank, you're in California and it's really, really, casual California, and you shouldn't be wearing ties and you shouldn't be doing this. But I kind of, and I've never had the bow tie on.
It seems like you're
Yeah,
having
you
a
might need
really
help.
hard
Yeah.
time.
It
I
is.
need help, Frank. Here.
I need some help.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
There we go. This is good. This is all
Like-
right. There we go.
Is this
There
her
we
here? Is this, do I get to keep it?
No. No, look at this.
You get to hang it
This-
on the lamp, on
this
the
is
tie
our-
lamp.
Karen, you.
This is our tie tree.
How's that?
Okay.
Frank goes
Oh, yeah, yeah.
lamppost over there.
You get to.
But you got the reindeer tie,
Mine.
Thanks.
and mine's going to go up on the lamppost here, because when I take my tie off, then we're officially
women should
over with the
rock bow
podcast,
ties.
and then we can actually
that.
start having more sweet tea. So
All right.
I think we're going to just put
How's it
this
look?
one right here.
There you go.
I just want to say thank
we
you
go.
so much to Karen Waldrup. It has been lovely getting to know you. Randy, it's been good to see you again, as well as your lovely wife, Renee.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to you, Triple G Express, and the American Trucking Association.